As always, this is Media Mothership. And we're broadcasting out of our secret base in Edge Radio Studios in Nipaluna, Hobart, Tasmania. I mean, it's secret because it is a bit difficult to
find us, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not through intention, secrecy.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Dr. Craig, joined as always by Lord Taylor.
Hello.
Yeah, full disclosure here, Lord Taylor has brought along a wonderful bag full of noise in his laptop.
I have. And we'll be playing around with that throughout the whole day.
Yeah. And what we're aiming for here is award-worthy radio.
Swipe that away.
So we'll experiment with that, committing wholeheartedly to explore, as we do each week, the media landscape and how it shapes our understanding of the world around us. We're streaming, as always, on edgeradio.org.au, as well as YouTube and Twitch. You can get to us by just searching Media Mothership. And I like that pause. You can also contact us if you'd like to do audience participation on 0488 11707. That's the SM line directly into the studio, which I'll try to keep an eye on, or you will.
Yeah, I will.
I manhandle the monitor. Or you can send a message on our chat on YouTube and Twitch. So today in Media Mothership, we're going to explore writing and radio dramas. And I want to take us back a little bit to that premise of setting up ideas of understanding how radio can be done well by looking at some classic golden age of radio stuff, and then unpacking that in terms of storytelling structure and interrogating our own efforts.
Not a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. I think, through a crucible of fire, we are reborn as a phoenix through critique and self-flagellation of being AI-induced. How could we do this better to serve our AI master race?
Okay.
Possible. Well, anyway, so that would be an example of how I could rewrite that slightly better. But there's more, and there'll be a quick news thing. I've only found one interesting news article this week.
Only one interesting news article.
There are some others, but they,
not interesting.
Not interesting enough to get on my list. All that and more on Edge Radio 99.3 Media Mothership. So I've still got some control. Welcome back, Media Mothership.
The script is the first.
All right, yep, sorry, and I need to remember
and
to stop it. I actually did learn how to stop it on this program, but not when I obviously did it then.
See, that's why I wanted to have that sting, so I could be in control and not do that.
And then I guess we've got to just get gestures.
Yeah,
like
gestures.
I'll point to you.
No, not that gesture. What are you doing, Craig?
Theatre of the mind. First article is, and only article, is from ABC News talking about how forbidden songs inspired underground bone music bootleggers in the USSR during the Cold War.
Okay, what the hell are you talking about, Craig?
Glad you asked. I love that phrase, bone music bootleggers. So bone music bootleggers refers to the fact that during the Cold War in the USSR, American rock music, popular culture was banned, very difficult to get. And what they developed as a way around that was to create records by using X-rays. So it was referred to as bone music because the X-rays would have, you'd see the skeleton, of course, because it would be hands.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Oh, well, look at abcnews.net.au to find out more. There's a documentary that's coming out about it. I just love the visual. It's worth checking out in terms of this kind of history of smuggling audio in a way that won't be detected, as well as taking advantage of a kind of surplus product, a lot of X-rays that hospitals were getting rid of in the 50s, 60s because they were flammable.
So was it just like a really thin record?
From what I can gather, looking a bit at the documentary and the article, the density of the X-rays was sufficient enough to be able to carve in record grooves onto. And because it still looked like an X-ray, it could kind of be gotten away with, I'm assuming.
That's crazy. And I still don't believe that records exist.
That are actually X-rays, that were at one stage X-rays. Like they've got this wonderful one of these two hands, which were X-rayed for some medical reason. And there's record grooves around it with a little record hole in the middle to play it. Yeah, fascinating. So I'd like to think, in North Korea, the next show we do, the K-pop Unlimited, could equally be smuggled in on X-rays. Bring back.
I don't want to be an enemy of the state.
Well, yeah, there's all these fascinating stories, isn't there, of South Koreans smuggling in their pop culture into the North, or North Koreans, getting pop culture through various, under the counter means. So yeah, it's still part of today's landscape, and there are fascinating ways people get around the prohibitions. In this case, it was X-rays, and the reason why there were X-rays was because there was a surplus supply of them. It was easy to, well, not easy, but it was possible to create grooves that could be listened to like a record, and they were they didn't look like records enough. So fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. You can play the sting. Oh. Good evening, and you're listening to Media Mothership. It's very jazzy. I enjoyed that one. What inspired you to bring that song into the mix?
Because it sort of fit in with your other one.
The blues vibe. Yeah. It's got that kind of lounge crooner vibe,
exactly.
Kind of loungecore.
Yeah, which is just, personified through your voice.
Not the content, sadly. Bone records. And our next topic, because what I want to get around to is this idea of classic radio dramas.
Okay.
So many people praise that golden age of radio, the 1930s and 40s, just before TV started to dominate the media landscape. And within that period were some absolutely spectacular examples of good storytelling.
Harry Potter.
Radio. Sadly, Harry Potter, our version of Harry Potter, has been done. But I wouldn't say it at all draws any inspiration from the golden age of radio.
Oh, dear.
But I'm thinking we can interrogate our work by looking at the best and then comparing it to our work. So this first piece I want to do over the next few weeks is take what many people consider one of the best radio dramas. It's Sorry, Wrong Number, and it was first broadcast on May 25th, 1943. Orson Welles, the famous movie maker, radio maker, best well-known in radio for doing the notorious War of the Worlds broadcast, which people thought actually occurred, or some people did. He praised it in 1948 as the greatest single radio script ever written. And this piece has become quite influential and is seen as like the example of radio dramas, which have then gone on to be adapted into every medium that's come after that. So television, stage plays, films, and so forth. I'm keen to give it a whirl.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
Right. So what we're going to look at is just the opening sequence for it. And in particular, why I'm keen to play the opening part in particular, because I want to look at this idea of how the narrative hook works. If you're doing a good story, allegedly, one of the ways to do a good story is to start it with a good hook. Something which is really going to grab the audience's attention, and it's going to introduce the vibe and hook them in, literally. Well, not literally, that would be weird if it reached out and somehow got... let's not imagine that. But anyway, metaphorically,
Yes.
like a fish on a hook, hooked you in, reeled you in, so then you would be eaten. I don't know what happens with the rest of that metaphor, but you'd be hooked. Anyway, you'd be hooked like a fish on a hook. Just to set everyone up so they understand what the hook is, there's some classic examples I wanted to throw at you as to what good hooks are. It could be an action hook. So if we think of the Dark Knight film, right? Do you remember how the Dark Knight movie starts?
No. I've only seen it once.
Okay, right. The masked robbers who are going to rob the bank, right? We start with the bank robbery about to go down. So the bank robbers are all setting up.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No dialogue either.
Yeah.
Oh, not much. So it's a great hook. It draws you and you dump straight into the middle of the action. And the other one could be like the classic one from Breaking Bad. Do you remember how episode 1 of Breaking Bad? Oh, you haven't seen it. It starts, we're in an RV with the main character, turns out to be the main character, Walter White, the chemistry teacher, who's driving it, just wearing his underwear and racing away. Right, so again, this in the middle of the action. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Again, the hook is, we see that great silhouette of Indy, and they're in the middle of, or they're just at the end of their archaeological discovery of that golden idol thing. Some other good hooks, George Orwell's 1984. I looked it up. That has as its first line, it was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13.
That doesn't work.
That's unexpected. Yeah. Exciting. So again, all these kind of classic examples of a hook. So the question is, what will be the hook in allegedly the best radio drama?
It might be 1300 Hours.
Well, it certainly was in 1984, the book. The funny thing also that also justifies this Sorry Wrong Number as being considered a classic is that the YouTube... there's a couple of YouTube versions of it, but all of them are dominated by comments of people saying, hey, I'm in Mr. White's Year 9 class doing English. Anyone else here from there? And then all these school students responding, right? A lot of Year 8s, Year 9s just commenting in there saying, does anyone know what the author's intent of this piece is, right?
Trying to get answers.
So it's a classic when it's swamped by school students. So let's listen now to the opening 5 minutes from the classic radio drama Sorry, Wrong Number. It's from the Suspense series. So Suspense was one of the archive shows, which each week would play a 30-minute radio drama piece. This is for those that are playing along at home, episode 43 of Suspense.
So it's like a serial.
Yeah. So we'll start with the opening chords. So we'll start with the Suspense intro. There'll be the MC that'll host it, and then we'll go straight in to the play, and then I'll arbitrarily cut it off at the point it gets interesting.
Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Our star tonight is one of the most compelling actresses in America today, Miss Agnes Moorehead. Miss Moorehead returns to our stage to appear in a new study in terror by Lucille Fletcher, called Sorry, Wrong Number. This story of a woman who accidentally overheard a conversation with death and who strove frantically to prevent murder from claiming an innocent victim is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with Sorry, Wrong Number and the performance of Agnes Moorehead. We again hope to keep you in suspense.
Oh, dear.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've been dialing Murray Hill 70093 now for the last 3/4 of an hour, and the line is always busy. I don't see how it could be busy that long. Will you try it for me, please?
I'll be glad to try that number for you. One moment, please.
I don't see how it could be busy all this time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I'm all alone here in the house. My health is very poor, and I've been feeling so nervous all day.
Ringing Murray Hill 70093.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Is Mr. Stevenson there?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello, George.
Yes, sir. This is George speaking.
Hello? Who's this? What number am I calling, please?
I'm here with our client now. He says the coast is clear for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Where are you now?
In a phone booth. Don't worry. Everything's okay.
Very well. Now, you know the address. At 11 o'clock, the private patrolman goes around to the bar on 2nd Avenue for a beer. Be sure that all the lights downstairs are on, There should be only one light visible from the street. At 11:15, a train crosses the bridge. It makes a noise in case her window is open and she should scream.
Oh, hello. What number is this, please?
Okay. I understand.
Now make it quick. As little blood as possible, Our client does not wish to make her suffer long.
Will a knife be okay, sir?
Yeah, a knife will be okay. And do you remember the other detail?
Yeah, I know. Remove the rings and bracelets and the jewelry in the bureau drawer.
That's right. Our client wishes it to look like simple robbery.
Don't worry. Everything is going to be okay.
All right, then. Be sure that...
Oh, how awful, how unspeakably awful. Oh.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've just been cut off.
I'm sorry. What number were you calling?
Why, it was supposed to be Murray Hill 70093, but it wasn't. Some wires must have got crossed. I was cut into a wrong number, and I've just heard the most dreadful thing. Something about a murder. And, operator, you'll simply have to retrace that call at once.
I beg your pardon. May I help you?
Oh, I know it was a wrong number, and I had no business listening, but these two men, they were cold-blooded fiends, and they were going to murder somebody, some poor innocent woman who was all alone in a house near a bridge, and we've got to stop them. We've got to.
What number were you calling, please?
Well, that doesn't matter. This was a wrong number, and you dialed it for me, and we've got to find out what it was immediately.
What number did you call?
Oh, why are you so stupid? What time is it? Do you mean to tell me you can't find out what that number was just now?
I'll connect you with the chief operator.
Oh, I think it's perfectly shameful. Now, look, it was obviously a case of some little slip of the finger. I told you to try Murray Hill 70093 for me. You dialed it, but your finger must have slipped, and I was connected with some other number. And I could hear them, but they couldn't hear me. Now, I simply fail to see why you couldn't make that same mistake again on purpose, why you couldn't try to dial Murray Hill 70093 in the same sort of careless way.
Murray Hill 70093. I will try to get it for you.
Thank you. Oh.
I'm sorry, Murray Hill 70093 is busy. I will call you in 20...
Operator!
That was so smooth. Yes, that's the
The
smooth.
hook of the script was the first sentence.
I forgot.
I've searched and examined everywhere, but
Yeah. I just gotta...
Smoothness is gone.
Classic Media Mothership here on Edge Radio 99.3. This is Dr. Craig, joined by Lord Taylor.
Oh, it's the best comedy show on air.
and the laptop that I plugged into the system, which obviously has a mind of its own. So what we were listening to was the opening 5 minutes of Suspense, the 1943 classic drama. And what I want to unpack is a couple of things. One thing that on listening to it again, I was really struck by, and if you listen further into it, you'll hear more of it, the kind of unflappability of the telephone operators that she speaks to as she becomes more and more kind of hysterical and anxious. And all of those responses are really, your classic... almost the supervisors standing behind them, service industry responses where they're very calm, polite, unemotive. A lot like the instructions I'm asking Bing AI or ChatGPT to do. Like, it just replies back. And if it had a voice, it would have that similar kind of,
drone.
Managed drone sound. But as I mentioned, what I'm looking for here is the hook. Would you keep listening to this series from the first 5 minutes you've heard? Is there something that you found has hooked you in to the drama, and a mystery, an action, a question?
Were you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't listening. What was happening? No. It does. Yeah, it definitely hooks you in. However, it does. It says on here that it's the sort of like the best episode. So I wouldn't listen to the other ones, because if that's the best one.
Wow. You think that's not too good?
No, I did think it was good. But if there's the other ones which aren't as good as that, they're not going to be as good.
Oh, well, the entirety of the classic radio spaces is a lot of fun, worth listening to. But as a start, I guess, I've chosen this Sorry Wrong number one as, and maybe it's a formative kind of mystery that it's setting up. That the whole premise is she's made a phone call and the wires have become crossed, and she's eavesdropped in on two nefarious villains who are plotting a murder. She can hear them, but they can't hear her. And that sets up, that's the hook, I guess, that kind of combination of sounds and dialogue. You have all those sounds throughout those opening 5 minutes of the dial tone, the clicks and clacks of the telephone operator connecting and reconnecting calls, and then the dialogue, the fact that she is kind of worried at the conversation she's overheard and panicked. And we also have, on second or third listening, you realize in that opening 5 minutes, we also have a deadline, right? The two villains say at 11:15 the murder will happen.
So you know that something's probably going to happen by 11:15.
So the rest of the play almost happens in real time, right? Because it's it's about 11:15 at that point, like quarter to 11. So the next half hour is that build up towards 11:15, as we'll hear that kind of level of panic increases. It's quite nicely characterized in terms of that old-fashioned sound effects and dialogue. But to give us a bit closer view of what a hook is, I've found this website called the Author Learning Center.
Oh.
Yeah. And a short interview with a professor there. Who gets introduced in the clip.
I was going to start playing sound effects.
But I've rescued that.
Yes.
So what I'll do is just play, again, the definition of the hook and its significance. Then we'll come back.
Cool. Are you going to play it?
When I first came across the term have a hook, a story needs to have a hook, I thought, oh, how crass. That's so mechanical. But I learned eventually that you talked about it in terms of inciting action. And that is very key. How do we get this thing launched? And is it launched in such a way that people will want to keep reading? That there's something about what happens in that initial line, that initial paragraph, that gets them to ask, okay, what next? What next? Where's this going? It simultaneously suggests possibilities and leaves questions open. And I think that's sort of the key thing to look at in terms of getting into the book. And you may have to go back and rework it eventually, of course, but it will launch you and you'll begin to be able to bring the reader along on the journey. And that's absolutely key.
All right. So again, the idea is you want to hook the audience. You want to do something that's really kind of capturing and going to set up an interest in listening further into what we've created. So I'll just read the first line for the radio dramas we've created. Right, so the AI drama that we did for Sherlock Holmes and the Subsiding Scuffle, starts with Watson saying, you're so excited to hear this again. We're revisiting these forever. Watson says, I've searched and examined everywhere, but I still haven't found Santa Claus. And Holmes says, what about his hat, Watson? And then the rest of the story unfolds. Do you remember how the Harry Potter one starts?
That was something about smashing pumpkins. No, what was it? Something pumpkin.
Yeah.
What was it? It was... I wrote it.
Oh, here we go.
And I can't remember.
Where'd it go? Yeah, I've got it. Right, so the Harry Potter Screeching Pumpkin script...
Screeching Pumpkin.
Yep, starts with Harry, who was in a place, who looked rather pale. The girls behind him shrieked as the Dementors burnt a circle of pumpkins.
That's right.
All right, so I've asked... specifically because I'm interested in terms of crafting a hook, right? So I started to interrogate our pieces through ChatGPT, of course, the best, informal, senseless, kind of non-emotive critique I could find to hear how it would size up those two pieces. So I'll play firstly how it sized up the effectiveness of the hook we created for the Sherlock Holmes piece, right? I know, it's exciting. Computer says yes. So the hook was, Santa Claus and the hat, right? Was that effective? So let's listen now to how ChatGPT felt that went down.
I still haven't found Santa Claus.
All right, hold on. That was because I've been playing it constantly.
The hook of the script is the first sentence. I've searched and examined everywhere, but I still haven't found Santa Claus.
So that's what it's identified as the hook.
Okay.
That Sherlock or Watson... they're looking for Santa Claus.
The strength of the hook is that it creates a sense of intrigue and surprise for the audience. The audience wonders why Watson is looking for Santa Claus.
Do you think so? At that point? Because has Santa ever crossed over into the Sherlock Holmes universe and be treated as a real figure? I mean, it's preposterous that they think Santa exists. Still, no one told them, hey, Santa's made up. So I would say that's a little bit of a shortcoming already for a Sherlock Holmes piece, that you've got a fictional character that anyone over the age of 5 knows is fake. Let's listen.
Because, Sherlock Holmes isn't a fictional character either.
Well, I mean... yeah. But you'd imagine in that universe...
yeah.
Santa's not real. He could be.
Yeah.
I'd like... But he does break a lot of... Santa's magical, basically, isn't he? Right? So I don't think there's any magical figures. Let's continue then.
Okay.
Where he is searching, and what this has to do with Sherlock Holmes. The hook also establishes the genre, the setting, and the characters of the script in a concise way.
So this sounds good.
Yeah.
The hook suggests that the script is a comedy or a parody of the original Sherlock Holmes stories,
which we have kind of established that, one of the strengths of that piece that we got the AI to create through training it on, was it 11 Sherlock Holmes dramas from the 1930s and 40s, was that it did have a redeeming quality in terms of being a kind of parody of the very narrative of rationality Sherlock Holmes has.
During Christmas time, and featuring Watson and Holmes as the main characters. The weakness of the hook is that it does not provide any clear conflict or goal for the characters or the story. The hook does not reveal what is at stake for Watson and Holmes, why they need to find Santa Claus, or what obstacles they face.
Yeah, so at that point, up until that point, I'd be thinking, oh, these comments are good. Maybe I've got a high distinction. Now, always, as the teacher says, always start with good points. I like this and this and this. And then you go, however, and then the student starts recalculating, oh, I wonder what my grade is now. At this point, I'm thinking maybe it's a solid credit, mid-grade, 60%.
Oh, no, we're going lower.
Oh, yeah, we're only halfway through the critique. So...
The hook could be improved by adding a phrase or a clause that gives more information or hints about the plot. For example,
I've searched and examined everywhere, but I still haven't found Santa Claus. He's our only witness to the murder of Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah, so at this point, what ChatGPT has done is that was Angry Davis. Gotta love Davis. Yeah. So that was Angry Davis. So what ChatGPT is now doing is offering stronger hooks. So for some reason, he's put Scrooge in there from Christmas Carol, which it makes sense if we're talking Christmas stories.
Yeah.
Santa, yeah. So yeah, I'll give it that. It's here. It has two more suggestions.
I've searched and examined everywhere, but I still haven't found Santa Claus.
That was Sad Neil.
Found Santa Claus.
Not strong, I think. Just that kind of sense of like they've searched everywhere and haven't found Santa Claus. All right.
He's the only one who can deliver the antidote to Holmes before midnight.
But it turns out Holmes is sick, and Santa's the only one that can deliver the antidote. White Santa, Santa's chemical background, maybe, I don't know. Seems pretty random. It doesn't really legitimize Santa.
No.
Scrooge does. Here's the last one.
I've searched and examined everywhere, but I still haven't found Santa Claus. He's the mastermind behind the theft of the crown jewels.
Yeah, so just a classic.
Hello, this is Bing.
Sorry. Let's go into the next one.
Hello, this is Bing.
Anyway, yep. So just a classic crime, right? Santa's stolen the crown jewels. Ugh. So yeah, I wouldn't think any of those, except maybe the Scrooge one, is worth effort. But yeah, interestingly, overall pretty positive. So then I got it to do the Harry Potter one, and yeah, it just ripped it.
Oh, it ripped it apart.
Yeah, it just totally hates it. So we'll play that one because it is fun in terms of how much it hates it. Right. No. So this is again asking. If you're interested in going back to our fan fictions, they are available on mediamothership.au, the website. I've got the transcripts up, as well as, I'll post episode links to the original, because they're, radio classics, tick. So here's the Harry Potter, and this does redefine the hook at the start. Oh, okay. And play.
Hello, this is Bing. I'm here to help you with your writing. Smiling face with smiling eyes.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, that was... I just thought I'd legitimize the fact that we're using Bing by getting text to voice, and I haven't got text to voice doesn't do emojis well.
Smiling face with smiling eyes.
The hook is the first sentence or paragraph of a story that grabs the reader's attention and makes them want to read more.
Which is a classic, we've all figured out that with prompts for ChatGPT or anything, if you're not careful, it'll just do a really lame definition at the start, regardless of your interest in getting straight to the heart of it. Anyway, so I've put that in there.
A good hook should introduce the main character, the setting, the conflict, and the tone of the story. The hook in this writing is not very effective for several reasons. It is vague.
Yeah, so I love that. It doesn't even say anything's good about it. It just says it's not effective.
Yeah,
there's no
for
point.
Various reasons.
You get that as a comment on an essay, and it's like, well, I didn't turn up to class, and I did no effort, and the teacher's just, not putting any effort into sugarcoat this comment at all. He's just like, your assignment was to write a hook. This has not been effective for the following reasons. So let's continue.
And confusing. The phrase "who was in a place" does not tell us anything about where Harry is or why he is there.
I do like it, though, yeah. So in the fanfiction, it says Harry who was in a place. I think that's kind of funny in a postmodern sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's literally defying the need to know. It's like, well, you don't need to know the place. It's the place. Everyone knows the place. It's a place. So to continue.
The reader might wonder if this is a mistake or a deliberate choice by the author.
Yeah, so I do like that, right? Is it a mistake? The author put it in as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Placeholder, and was later going to put a place in. Like, you know, they'd had a budget to travel the world to find location shots for this Harry Potter script, but the budget ran out, so they never updated what the place is. So they just left it at a place. Or is it deliberate? Which is my feeling that, you know, oh, am I reading a clever postmodern analysis?
Yes.
It is inconsistent and illogical. The events that follow do not make sense in the context of the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, so
That's true.
Yeah, so it basically just comes straight out and says, you know, as any good fan fiction artist would know, you're extending the existing narrative, and you're not simply forgetting the existing narrative and doing a story which simply has the names of those characters doing things they don't.
For example, why are Dementors burning pumpkins?
Well, Dementors could burn pumpkins.
Is that? I don't think that's a defense, though. I mean, yes, they could do many things, unless you're doing a kind of like 90s grunge parody, like Smashing Pumpkins kind of vibe, and you've got even that saying it aloud is so stupid.
I don't know what
Smashing Pumpkins is. Really? Wow. They never came to Korea, maybe? One of the big 90s grunge bands, alternative music. Well, not really grunge, alternative. All right, anyway, going on.
Why does Hagrid have bones full of pus?
Yeah, why does Hagrid have bones full of pus? That was the image that nearly got me banned from doing any more Mid-Journey image searches, because pus is a flag word, right? So, yeah, it's such... I mean, did we figure out why the pus is there? Is it something that's in the Harry Potter universe? Are there references to pus?
Yes, because there's Bubba Tuber pus, which is a particular...
Right, the candy.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a particular...
You don't think candy? Okay. But wasn't it the candy that's meant to taste horrible that they get on the train at the start?
Bertie Bott's every flavour bean.
There. Is there a pus one? Probably.
I think there is, but I don't think it's mentioned.
It's not a narrative. Okay. But pus is narratively mentioned elsewhere?
Yeah, Bubba Tuber pus.
What is Bubba Tuber pus?
It's like from a particular plant, and they squeeze it out of the plant, I believe. And when Harry, in the film with the character played by Imelda Staunton.
Yes.
Where
Goblet of Fire.
No. Order of the Phoenix, where he has to... What is it? Yeah, it is. Where he has to write the I must not tell lies in his own blood with the pen. Bubba Tuber pus is used to relax it.
The pus, the blood.
His hand.
His hand, yeah.
Yeah, which is, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, so there is a connection, obviously, how it ended up with, who is it that gets it? It's like Hagrid's bones? A pus or something?
Yeah. Hagrid was full of scandalised... Bones were full of scandalised pus.
Do you reckon there's a connection with the pus?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do a really interesting fan fiction there.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a hook.
Why does Harry fly to the dormitory without a broomstick?
Okay, yeah. Is there any evidence in the Harry Potter mythos of Harry flying without... Does anyone fly without broomsticks?
Voldemort does. However, I kind of disagree with ChatGPT there. Because if it's like, I flew to the car, it's not I'm literally flying.
Could be
I'm just going really fast.
Metaphor. Yeah, you're not literally flying. Yeah. Good point. Nice rebuttal. Teacher might
Take
think,
that.
you know, maybe the student's work isn't that bad.
Why does Dumbledore fall from the curtains and attack Snape?
Okay.
Okay.
Why does Dumbledore fall from the curtain and attack Snape? Why do you think's going on there? Because he does, like, maybe it's like the whole thing about that Harry Potter build-up is we think Snape's the bad guy, and he turns into a good guy, and part of that is continuing that charade. So,
and yeah, just in everything that I've ever done with Harry Potter and these not ChatGPT, but RNNs, it's Dumbledore is just always so violent.
Oh, wow.
He starts cursing everyone. He stabs someone in someone that
I wonder what the false flags is it's picking up to recode Dumbledore as violent. Like, there must be some, relationship between the word Dumbledore and violent actions, which then creates confusion with the RNN, the real neural network.
Recurrent neural network.
Neural network. Yeah, that then recodes Dumbledore as a violent psychopath. Yeah.
These details do not match the established rules and characters of the series. It is not engaging or intriguing. The hook does not create any suspense or curiosity for the reader.
Come on.
Yeah, he's just put the boot in.
Instead, it might make them feel confused, annoyed, or bored.
Confused, annoyed, and bored. You're listening to Media Mothership. Workshop that a bit.
The reader might lose interest in the story or question the author's credibility.
Well, I hope so.
How credible is this fan fiction? Which is why we've carefully titled everything as AI generated.
Yes.
Because we don't want it to rub off on us.
No, definitely not.
To improve the hook, you could try to be more specific and descriptive. Use sensory details and vivid language to create a clear picture of the scene and the characters. For example, instead of who was in a place, you could write who was in a dark and damp cellar.
Yeah. I like that.
Be more consistent and logical. Follow the established canon and logic of the Harry Potter universe.
Okay, if you insist.
For example, instead of Dementors burning pumpkins, you could write Dementors hovering over the Quidditch pitch.
But that's a bit hackneyed, isn't it? Dementors hovering over the Quidditch pitch.
The Dementor pitch.
The Quidditch pitch.
Be more engaging and intriguing. Start with a question, a problem, a surprise, or a conflict that draws the reader in and makes them want to know more. For example, instead of "Hi Harry," you could write, "Harry, you're in grave danger."
I'll do that for all of the people I say hi to.
Yeah. Well, that's the second paragraph here. So the second paragraph is, "Hi Harry," said Hagrid, his bones full of scandalized pus. "What's up?" Harry dug his wand out of the bag he was wearing and flew to the dormitory in an explosion of colour. I mean, maybe the banality of saying "Hi Harry" counterposes the extraordinary absurdity of the descriptions we're getting.
Yeah.
That Hagrid is a bone full of scandalized pus, and that Harry is, suddenly flying in an explosion of colour. I think that's quite interesting. Do we have a sound effect for that?
Let's go for...
It's like an announcement. Could people please stand back from the platform? The next train is arriving. One last thing I want to do, because you did bring with you into the studio a real treat, an experiment you'd done, and I want to listen to it again.
On air.
You don't mind doing it on. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's great.
So what I liked about this was, again, with that idea of a hook, right? So maybe we'll play it without the context first.
Okay, yeah. And see if you can guess at home what it's talking about and where it's drawn from.
Yeah. The broad brushstrokes are that it is meant to evoke that kind of classic radio drama report.
Okay.
Basically.
Here we go.
As I look upon the construction of the Tasmanian Stadium, I cannot help but feel a sense of foreboding. The stadium looms over the landscape like a giant metal beast, ready to devour all who dare enter its gate. Its towering walls and gleaming facade are a testament to the power and might of human ambition. And yet they also betray a dangerous hubris, for who are we to create such a monstrosity, to play God with the very earth beneath our feet? We have no right to meddle with the forces of nature, to build structures that defy the very laws of physics. And yet, here we are, creating a colossus that will undoubtedly lead to our own downfall. So beware all who gaze upon this stadium, for it is a symbol of our own destruction. We have sown the seeds of our own demise, and the Tasmanian Stadium is but one of many harbingers of the apocalypse to come.
I love the binaries there, right? So like there's so much dichotomy between having this amazing engineering marvel on one hand and this, foreboding, full of hubris, doom, apocalypse sign that he sees within it. Tell us a bit more about it. So what were the sources you drew upon to create this as the text that, because this was created through ChatGPT?
Yes, it was created through ChatGPT, and I'm not going to give away all of my prompts.
Because they're artist secrets.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get it to that point. But it was basically just saying, write a monologue about the new Tasmanian Stadium, make it negative, make it scary, and write it in the style of War of the Worlds.
Yes, so the classic Orson Welles, or even the original book, maybe it was drawing upon the H.G. Wells original War of the Worlds.
Yeah, and so when it sort of output that, I was thinking, well, yeah, it kind of sounds like with the radio broadcast. So I tried to find a voice that sort of suitably had like an old-timey radio broadcasty voice, and I think I found it.
The voices you're finding are particularly good.
Yes.
I'm finding, yeah. I mean, I enjoy the hokiness of the clip champ voices that we're using, but they're very much, I can already hear a generation behind where some of the, pay-as-you-go services are the more expensive subscription-based services. I mean, this isn't a subscription one, I know, in terms of you're just using the free version.
Yeah, and creating more and more accounts just to keep having it as free.
Okay. But, I love, like, there are dashes of that same period. Like, you got that H.G. Wells, 1920s, 1910s writing, and you've also got a bit of almost H.P. Lovecraft vibe of the exaggerated doom that's befalling mankind through these abominations that are being built. So yeah, it has quite gorgeous words. Would you say there's, like you said, there were a number of iterations, and you got to this one? Was part of the struggle finding a good hook, right? That you were waiting for the ChatGPT to create particular prose that would hook the reader in, that would set up with the strong...
No, there weren't multiple iterations.
Right.
Number one.
Right, so you just carefully honed a prompt.
Yes.
And then we're happy with
I've got like a little special prompt that I use for these things.
It's interesting because I'm finding more and more people have special prompts. In terms of on Reddit, the ChatGPT Reddit server, there was a post there asking for people's special prompts. And I copied and pasted as many of them as I could that were good. Some of them were marvelous. The one that I liked the most, and I'll post a link to it on the show notes, was one that wasn't even about getting content. It was about getting a good prompt. So it was a prompt to get a prompt.
Yeah.
So it was purely breaking down, I think the opening sentence was, you are a prompt engineer, which I love the sound of, a prompt engineer. I build and construct enormous, huge prompts. Anyway, so yes, prompt engineer, and then it does all these various iteration commands. Fascinating.
But if you're at home and you want to create a good prompt, be as specific as you can. Just always be as specific as you can, is all I can say.
Well, one of the things we're investigating here on Media Mothership is that ability to craft language, and through applying it to radio dramas and hopefully engaging audio work, yes, we will reveal those secrets and sound like a BuzzFeed article. Top 10 prompts or top 10 secrets for persuasive audio communication.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, all that and more. It's radio. Well, that's pretty much brought us to the show. As always, thank you for listening. and I've been Dr. Craig, joined by Lord Taylor for Media Mothership on End Radio. Main points, I think, for today. Did you have any takeaways? that you had from today's show?
Well, I did quite like the what was it? It was the suspense.
The opening 5 minutes of Sorry, Wrong Number.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we could do something similar. I mean, Sorry, Wrong Number is all about stumbling across miscommunication and then trying to communicate increasingly frantically with robotic operators. And I was thinking there's possibly something with ChatGPT where you've stumbled across something online that's a murder. You don't realize at the time that you're probably going to be the victim of that murder. But then you're trying to get ChatGPT to assist you in some way, but it's unresponsive. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So I'll plug that in and ask ChatGPT to criticize it. I'm sure it'll say, this nonsensical story. Look, it's worth listening to the rest of it. Over the next few shows, we'll play a couple more clips of Sorry, Wrong Number. So if you're not going to get around to it yourself, we will be unpacking that here. Interestingly, Sorry, Wrong Number, if there are any Bewitched fans out there, the classic 1960s American sitcom Bewitched, the voice that we heard, Agnes Moorehead, was the mother of Samantha.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Samantha's mother from Bewitched. She's a enormously popular actor as well as voice actor during the 40s and 50s and 60s. And yeah, one of the roles that I did see her in was as the mother of Samantha from Bewitched. Intertextuality.
Fantastic.
So yes, we'll post all that up as show notes, which you can access on the current YouTube episode, or by looking at the podcast notes, which will be probably posted up slightly afterwards, sometime in the weekend. But yes, that doesn't matter. And if you've been listening to this discussion, keep listening to Edge Radio. Coming up next, we have K-Pop Unlimited. Taylor, you told me a huge bit of news.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, I'm playing some new music.
Mind blown.
Music.
How did you get money? Did you get some money? Because the whole thing I love about you is that you've only up until this point had an archive that extends until what, 2016?
2018, 19, something like that.
18,
yeah.
Yep. Because A, that's when your money ran out,
yeah.
And B, that's when a particular band you love broke up.
Yes.
Which, lovely story. Good hook. But now, yeah, a hook to get people to listen to the next show is there's a new track.
I heard some good music, and I was like, okay, I have to buy this and put it on the radio.
So this was a song that came out in the last year.
These are songs that came out some of them this year. Some of them just came out like last week.
Oh, so it's more than one song.
Yeah.
Like, is it
most of them?
Wow.
Most.
That's excellent. Well, look, do keep listening then to K-Pop Edge Radio as K-Pop Unlimited comes next. This has been Media Mothership. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And do check out some Golden Age of Radio, including what happens in Sorry Wrong Number to our increasingly stressed invalid main character. Do we have a sound effect for that?
For what?
For invalid characters in popular culture? Yeah, that's spot on.
Keep up to date on our socials at Edge Radio 99.